morning, everyone. Welcome. This is a public hearing of the Commission on Judicial Appointments noticed for this time and place for the purpose of considering the nomination by Governor Gavin Newsom of the Honorable Patricia Guerrero to the office of Chief Justice of California and the California Supreme Court. As Chief Justice, I serve as Chair of the Commission on Judicial Appointments. Oops. Well, Justice Guerrero, we know that you know the opening paragraph of the Commission on Judicial Appointments, probably fresher in your memory than most of ours. As Chief Justice of California, I serve as Chair of the Commission on Judicial Appointments. The members of the Commission are Attorney General Rob Bonta and Justice Manuel A. Ramirez, the most senior presiding Justice of the Court of Appeal. Janelle Baker serves as Secretary to the Commission, and Jorge Navarrete of the California Supreme Court, our clerk, and the Judicial Council staff assist in making this hearing possible. The Commission is in receipt of a letter from Governor Newsom nominating Justice Guerrero to fill the vacancy that will be created by my retirement at the conclusion of my term of office on January 2nd, 2023. The state constitution specifies that a nomination to the Supreme Court of California by the governor is effective when confirmed by the Commission on Judicial Appointments. The Commission received correspondence pertaining to this nomination, and we made these letters available to the press and to the public several days ago. Pursuant to a request by Governor Newsom, the Commission on Judicial Nominees Evaluation, known as JENNY, has taken an evaluation of the qualifications of Justice Guerrero, and we have Mr. Adam Hoffman here today, chair of that commission, and later in these proceedings, he will publicly announce the results of that evaluation. Justice Guerrero has asked that the following persons be called to testify on her behalf. I'll name them now and then separately invite each one up to the podium. The Honorable David L. Mullikin, retired, partner at Latham & Watkins, LLP. The Honorable Judith McConnell, Administrative Presiding Justice, Court of Appeal, 4th Appellate District, Division 1. And the Honorable Martin J. Jenkins, Associate Justice, Supreme Court of California. I invite Mr. Mullikin to the podium.
I'm glad Trish showed up. I didn't realize she was having second thoughts. Madam Chief Justice, Mr. Attorney General, Mr. Senior Presiding Justice, my name is David Mullikin. I am, as you said, a retired partner of the law firm of Latham & Watkins, where I served as the founding chair of its environmental department and subsequently as the chair of the European Litigation Department. I've stood at this lectern, several times over the course of now 4 decades to advocate positions on behalf of clients. On each occasion, I have felt privileged to appear here and have reflected on what a special experience it is to appear before this court. This is the same court that all of us learned as law students was the court that set the standard for excellence by which every other state Supreme Court would be measured. That is indeed humbling for all of us who appear before this court. And to this day, I must say, I remain humbled by the knowledge that I'm addressing some of the most accomplished legal minds in our profession. Today, in what I anticipate being perhaps the shortest address I've ever given at this lectern, I have the great privilege and honor to speak in support of the confirmation of yet another of California's most accomplished legal minds. In this case, Justice Patricia Guerrero, to serve as the next Chief Justice of the California courts, an extraordinary court indeed. If I may beg your indulgence, I will be challenged to consistently refer to the governor's nominee as Justice Guerrero, since from the day she began her legal career, I've known her only as Trish. Trish and I worked closely together literally from the day she arrived at Latham & Watkins in October of 1997, and again immediately following her return from the U.S. Attorney's Office in 2003 until she assumed her initial position on the bench in 2013. Early on, we worked together on complex commercial litigation, but as one of the emerging superstars in our firm, Trish very quickly joined me in serving in several important managerial roles as well. Her talents were immediately evident to all of us who worked with her, and unsurprisingly, she progressed into supervisory roles at a very, very early stage of her career, well ahead of her contemporaries. And she was branded throughout the firm as a mega talent who functioned beyond her years in every respect. And this was true from the very, very early stages of her career. All of us who knew her recognized her keen intellect and her razor-sharp analytical skills that accompanied a wisdom and judgment beyond her years. Having said that, I'm quite satisfied that those capabilities have been exhaustively documented, not only by Jenny, but through the prior confirmation hearings that Justice Guerrero has experienced in the last several years. I'd like instead to highlight some of Tricia's other attributes that I think will serve her particularly well in taking on the massive additional responsibilities that befall the Chief Justice. When I arrived as one of 4 summer associates at Latham & Watkins in 1974, there were 70 lawyers in the firm. By the time Trish accepted her first appointment to the bench in 2013, the firm had grown to over 2,100 lawyers. My purpose in mentioning that is to underscore the fact that while the firm always put a premium on individuals that were great lawyers, increasingly in a firm that was changing and expanding, skilled managers and administrators became incredibly important. And those few people who were capable of doing both were priceless. Indeed, in our firm, we had always eschewed the notion of a managerial elite. We felt that all lawyers, first and foremost, had to be practicing lawyers. They had to remain productive performers. And the only people who ended up in management roles were necessarily great lawyers, but that wasn't sufficient. You needed to be a good manager to have those additional skills as well. And Trish had those skills and was immediately put on a fast track to important managerial roles. And this was true both as an associate and as a young partner. Apart from her superlative lawyering skills, she had a great talent for all aspects of effective management. She effectively managed large teams in a collaborative and collegial way. She was a consensus builder. She was compulsively organized, and she was a very, very effective and a forceful advocate for her positions, which perhaps comes as a surprise to people who see her as a kind, soft-spoken, humorous individual. Don't be deceived. Some of the other traits that come to attention are her attention to detail, a disciplined yet accommodative approach to the people she oversees, a pragmatic and creative approach to problem solving, and a prodigious work ethic that literally became legendary within the firm. And we see lots of hardworking lawyers in our firm, but we see very few that work the way Trish worked and yet were remarkably efficient in everything that they did. I have little doubt that if Trish had remained at Latham & Watkins, she would have been elected to our executive committee and that she would have been in the running and quite likely selected for one of the 2 or 3 most senior management positions in a law firm that today, frankly, is as much of a business as it is a law firm. That said, Latham & Watkins' loss unquestionably is California's gain. I cherish the years that we worked together. I've greatly admired the work that she has done since she joined the judiciary. And I'm highly, highly confident that it has been the case every step of her career that Trish will do a superb job as the Chief Justice, leading the court and overseeing the administration of the state's entire judicial system. For selfish reasons, I'm sorry that Trish is no longer a Latham partner. However, I have no doubt that she's more than up to the challenge and that she will serve the people of California with great distinction. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mullikin. Thank you for those excellent words. I invite to the podium the Honorable Judith McConnell, Administrative Presiding Justice.
Thank you very much, Chief Justice Kantil Sakui, Presiding Justice Ramirez, and Attorney General Bonta. It seems like yesterday, and I guess it was just yesterday, that I was here speaking in support of my friend and former colleague. I'm glad you joined us, Trish. I couldn't have done this without you. And I'm just thrilled to be here again. But before I reflect on the qualities that make Justice Guerrero exceptionally well qualified to become Chief Justice, I want to comment on the deep appreciation I have to you, Chief Justice, for your inspired leadership the past 12 years. I'm going to try not to cry. You've led our courts through some of the most challenging times any Chief Justice has faced anywhere in the country. You faced a recession, terrible budget cuts that were devastating to the courts, crumbling courthouses, and most recently, the pandemic. You've risen to the challenges with a smile and grace and charismatic speeches, and you've inspired us to continue our service to the people of California as best we could under very difficult circumstances. Our courts and the public are the beneficiaries of your leadership, and we are deeply grateful. I look forward to your continued leadership in improving civic learning in California, and I can't wait to see what else you're going to do on the national stage. Bravo.
Thank you, Justice McConnell. Let me just interject to say I'm grateful for those very kind words, for your leadership, for all of the APJs who are here, I see in the audience, for my colleagues at the Supreme Court staff. This was a group effort all the way. No one was ever standing alone. This was always all of us. Thank you, Judy.
I'm sure that is the case, but it takes leadership to bring all those people together. And by the way, I want to mention we have 4th District judges. Where are you? I can't see anymore because I had eye surgery. Here, her fan club who came up from San Diego this morning, getting up at 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. probably. But by now, Justice Guerrero's background is well known. She's the daughter of immigrants. She was raised in a traditional family in the Imperial Valley. English is her second language. Her father worked in the fields, became a foreman at local feedlots, and a cowboy, training horses, working rodeos. Her mother provided childcare to neighborhood children and inspired in her own children a love for reading and education. Justice Guerrero attended local schools in Imperial, local public schools that she walked to. She swam in the canals in Imperial County, rode horseback, and learned to play golf. Justice Corrigan, bravo. She also started working at age 16 at a local grocery store, something she continued to do when she was an undergraduate at UC Berkeley. And while her parents themselves were unable to complete their education, their ability to inspire and encourage their daughters knew no bounds. And you can see that is the truth. Although at least one of her teachers told the female students that most of them would end up pregnant and should not bother thinking of college, her parents believed Justice Guerrero could do anything, and she has fulfilled their expectations. Her handsome sons couldn't be here today. I think she wants them to go to school. But her husband is here, and we're sad that her mother couldn't be here, but she did make it to her confirmation hearing for the Court of Appeal. You've heard about her hard work at Latham & Watkins, and I think we learned even more about that today than we did in the past. And just think about what she gave up when she came into public service. It's a lot of hard work, but there you go. But she worked hard after graduating from Stanford, and she mentored many new lawyers. She also made time to volunteer in the community, where she worked at the Immigration Justice Project, the Volunteer Lawyer and Lawyers Club Women's Resource Fair. Her leadership skills were early recognized at the Superior Court. Despite having had no experience at all in family law, she applied herself and became an expert, and was quickly made assistant supervising judge and then supervising judge of the San Diego Family Court, which I think had over 20 judges in the county that she supervised. A very, very difficult assignment. She was promoted over more experienced jurists who were competing for that position. Hard to imagine that people would compete for that position, but they did. Her talents as a leader were recognized and honored by the specialists in the family law bar, and you're aware of that. As supervising judge, she ushered in a new case management system, made significant changes to minute orders so there'd be a record of proceedings when they no longer had court reporters, and she organized the move of the division into the new courthouse. The Chief Justice and the Supreme Court, who chose her to chair the Blue Ribbon Commission on the Future of the California Bar Exam, a commission composed of diverse members with many different agendas. While carrying a full load at the Court of Appeal, she always accepted invitations to participate in the Judges in the Classroom program and helped organize the Court of Appeal outreach program to her former high school in Imperial County. I am very hopeful she will continue to support the branch's efforts to improve civic learning in California so that our youth and the public generally understand the important role of the courts in our democracy, and more importantly, understand the role of democracy in our community. As a colleague, she is skilled at building consensus. You heard that from the prior speaker. And she quickly earned the respect of all of the justices on the Court of Appeal. What will she be like as chief? She is, as you heard, a consensus builder. She is collaborative, collegial, smart, and decisive. And by the way, brave. She's very brave. She will learn from the best minds and continue to maintain and improve our exemplary court system. She's dedicated to ensuring the justice the people of California deserve and will be a wonderful successor to Chief Justice Tani Cantil-Sakauye. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Justice McConnell. We invite to the podium the Honorable Martin Jenkins, Associate Justice, Supreme Court of California.
I was always told that one of the first things you should do when you step to a podium is act like you've been there before, so I lift the podium. Thank you, and good morning, Chief, Presiding Justice Ramirez, and Attorney General Bonta. It's a distinct privilege and pleasure to speak this morning in support of the confirmation of my colleague and friend, Justice Patricia Guerrero, to serve in the position of the Chief Justice of the California Supreme Court. But before I return to my prepared remarks, I'd like to take a personal point of privilege here and say thanks to you, Chief, for 32 years of extraordinary judicial service to the state of California, the last 12 of which have been as our chief. Some 12 years ago, I attended your confirmation hearing in this very room. It was a different time in the California judiciary, and questions abounded over the fiscal health of the branch and a series of other issues. And I and others in this courtroom listened eagerly as you outlined your path forward and your goals for the judiciary. It is as a result of your leadership that the judicial branch today is vibrant, it's on sound fiscal footing, and it's empowered to meet our mission to provide all Californians with equal access to our courts. By any measure, you've more than exceeded your goals, despite encountering a pandemic along the way. So a simple thank you seems so very inadequate. But please know that the sincere gratitude I express to you here today for all you've done as chief is shared by all the judges and justices across our state who've been privileged to share and serve under your leadership. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Marty. Justice Jenkins. Again, I just truly have to say that this has been a privilege, and the greatest privilege of all has been to work with such brilliant minds on the Supreme Court and the courts of appeal. And every single one of you in this audience, you know that we have called and talked and worked our way through issues together, because this has always been how we've approached this judiciary, is together, and Trish included. I mean, Justice Guerrero included. So thank you so much for the privilege of being able to work with an august and brilliant group of people.
So with that, I'd like to move from thanking one inspiring Chief Justice to talking about another to be Chief Justice. Simply put, Governor Newsom has made an inspired choice in nominating Justice Patricia Guerrero to serve as a Chief Justice of our court. I met Trish, as she's affectionately known, several years ago in an appellate conference. Justice Judith McConnell introduced her to me. It was clear in that first meeting I was in the presence of a deeply thoughtful person who was both confident and exceedingly personable. A few years later, after I retired from judging to serve as Governor Newsom's Judicial Appointments Secretary, I got to know Trish even better. My position as the Appointments Secretary required that I develop relationships with judges and lawyers across the state as part of the evaluation process of judicial candidates. And quite naturally, given my experience with Trish, I sought out her assistance in evaluating candidates. She did not disappoint. Her judgment about people and whether they possess the requisite skills to serve the people of California in such an important position is always rock solid. And since March of this year, I and my colleagues have had an opportunity on the Supreme Court to work with her as our newest justice. So in the few minutes allotted to me, I'd like to provide this commission with, if you will, an insider's perspective regarding her qualifications to serve as chief. You've already heard much this morning about her extraordinary time on the Court of Appeal and as a trial judge and as a consummate and effective lawyer. She has a first-rate legal mind that allows her to unravel complex issues without sacrificing efficiency. She's a gifted and talented and fluid writer, but extremely careful. And her work ethic is simply unsurpassed. She served as a jurist at every level of the California judiciary, and her broad legal background and judicial experience will assist her in developing and implementing policies with the help of the Judicial Council that will ultimately provide the people of this state with equal access to our courts. She has excellent judgment. I alluded to that earlier. She's been selected, as was said earlier, to serve in positions of importance, supervisory positions in every legal position and judicial position she's had, and early on in her experience. We've already heard a few: the Blue Ribbon Commission on the State Bar, the Access Associates Committee at Latham and Watkins, supervising judge of the Family Court in San Diego. I could name more, but they all lead to the same place. There's no question about her ability to supervise and manage the branch. In addition, she's remarkably efficient and a skilled multitasker. Both of these qualities have been apparent in her time on the court. The work of the Supreme Court, even for a Court of Appeal justice like me, who served for almost 11 years, is quite Byzantine. And when you land in this foreign place as a new justice, and you are acquainted with yellow memos and salmon memos and blue memos, it's all a bit much. Trish arrived at the busiest time in our court's term. That's the period that is called the March Crush. It's called that because there are a number of opinions in the queue that are being staged for oral argument, and many more to come. And when she arrived, she set out to look at those opinions, review them. She made outstanding suggestions in each of those opinions, and the work product was improved because of her participation. And she did all of that, learning a new court, a new culture, learning about new colleagues, and also trying to understand just how the court operated. She was able to synthesize all those disparate aspects of the job and produce excellent work product. But if I could stop for a minute and just pause and talk a little bit about her leadership skills. I mentioned a few minutes ago that she's been selected for leadership opportunities in every legal position that she's held. But I think it's important to focus on why she's been selected for positions of leadership. Why individuals across the expanse of public and private sector positions she's held, lawyers and judges alike, repose such great confidence in her ability to lead. The answer to this question requires one to look no further than her values of integrity, compassion, industry, respect for others, and humility. These values, anchored by her deep and genuine humility, a gift from her parents that was nurtured in the Imperial Valley community in which she was raised, serve to always remind her that her considerable skills and talents are best expended in the service of others. She truly is a servant leader. She has that rare gift that all effective leaders have, the ability to convey to others that what she asks of you, she's already asked of herself. She's not driven to succeed, to foster self-pride, but out of a sense of duty. And her sense of duty, in turn, is infectious and motivates others to work with her out of a sense of duty. These values, in tandem with her incredible legal and administrative skills, will allow her as chief to build consensus across the range of constituents that interface with the judicial branch, be it the bench and bar, the legislature, or the executive branch. And I want to close with this. Much has been said about the historic nature of her nomination as a Latina to serve as chief of the California Supreme Court, the first ever. And it is also true what many have said, that with her confirmation, Black and brown students and lawyers, women and other minorities, will see in her someone they can emulate as a role model. But the story of her journey from Imperial Valley to this courtroom today is a story that we can all draw inspiration from, irrespective of race, ethnicity, gender, or social orientation, sexual orientation. where she will be a chief in which all Californians can take pride. Justice Patricia Guerrero is the right person at the right moment to lead the judicial branch into the 21st century, and I urge you to confirm her nomination. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Justice Jenkins, for those words as well. The commission now invites Mr. Adam Hoffman to the podium for the Jenny evaluation.
Good morning, Chief Justice Kantil Sakaue, Attorney General Bonta, and Presiding Justice Ramirez. I am honored to present this report on behalf of the Commission on Judicial Nominees Evaluation to summarize the basis of the Jenny Commission's rating of Justice Patricia Guerrero for the office of Chief Justice of the California Supreme Court. The Jenny Commission conducted its evaluation of Justice Guerrero on August 19, 2022, finding her to be exceptionally well qualified to serve as Chief Justice of the California Supreme Court. According to the Jenny Commission rules, that rating reflects the Commission's determination that Justice Guerrero possesses qualities and attributes of remarkable or extraordinary superiority that enable her to perform the appellate judicial function with distinction. Justice Guerrero was raised in the small farming town of Imperial, where her father and many other families members still reside. She attributes her work ethic to her hard-working parents who immigrated from Mexico. She describes her father as a cowboy who worked primarily in feedlots. Her mother contributed financially to the household by working as the cherished babysitter for other neighborhood kids. After graduating from Imperial High School, Justice Guerrero attended the University of California, Berkeley, graduating in the top 4% of students and earning a place on the Dean's Honors List. She was also awarded the Julie Ann Ginsbach Scholarship as one of the 2 most distinguished students in the legal studies major. She obtained a BA in legal studies and graduated magna cum laude in 1994. She financed her entire college education through scholarships and part-time employment, working more than 20 hours per week. Justice Guerrero then attended Stanford Law School, where she earned a Hilmer Ullman Jr. Prize, awarded to up to 2 students for outstanding work in the first-year legal research and writing program. She obtained her JD in 1997. That same year, Justice Guerrero began her career as an associate at Latham & Watkins LLP in San Francisco, where she focused on environmental matters. In 2002, she joined the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of California, where she prosecuted a range of federal crimes, including drug trafficking, the smuggling of non-citizens, and immigration violations. In 2003, she returned to Latham as an associate in its San Diego office, and she was promoted to partner in 2006. At Latham, the candidate's practice, Justice Guerrero's practice included environmental litigation, environmental enforcement matters, both civil and criminal, and assisting clients with internal investigations of environmental concerns. She also maintained an active pro bono practice, representing clients on matters involving immigration issues, securing Social Security benefits, dealing with fair housing laws. In addition to managing large teams on her complex litigation matters, Justice Guerrero also took on significant administrative responsibilities at Latham. She served first on the firm's associate committee and later as global chair of Latham's Training and Career Enhancement Committee, developing education academies for the attorneys and establishing a formal firm-wide mentoring program. In June 2013, Justice Guerrero was appointed to the San Diego County Superior Court, where she served until December 2017. During her time on the Superior Court, she presided over a range of cases. She also served as the assistant supervising judge and then as the supervising judge for the court. In November 2017, Justice Guerrero was appointed to the California Court of Appeal 4th Appellate District in San Diego, where she presided over appeals and writs petitions from San Diego and Imperial counties. Then, on March 28, 2022, Justice Guerrero was elevated to the California Supreme Court, where she sits today as an associate justice. In addition to her caseload, she is also a member of the court's Professional Development Initiative and is currently working to create a bias committee for the California Supreme Court and courts of appeal. Justice Guerrero is a dedicated public servant outside of the courtroom as well. She previously chaired the State Bar's Blue Ribbon Commission on the Future of the Bar Exam and the Judicial Council of California Advisory Committee on Criminal Jury Instructions. In 2013 and 2016, she served on a screening panel evaluating applications for appointment and reappointment to serve as magistrate judges in the United States District Court, Southern District of California. Her civic responsibilities also include participation in Judges in the Classroom, a program where judicial officers engage in grade K through 12 students on a variety of legal topics, including the United States Constitution, the rule of law, and civil rights. For her distinguished career and efforts in the community, Justice Guerrero has been recognized by bar associations and community organizations. In 2012, Casa Cornelia Law Center recognized her outstanding pro bono legal representation in its Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals Clinic. In 2017, she was named Judicial Officer of the Year by the San Diego Family Law Bar Association. That same year, she was recognized as the Distinguished Jurist of the Year by the Southern California chapter of the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers. In her free time, Justice Guerrero enjoys spending time with her husband and 2 teenage sons, as well as swimming, golfing, horseback riding, and snowboarding. From her work in and out of the courtroom, the Jenny Commission concluded that Justice Guerrero is a uniquely qualified jurist. She has had an exceptional career as a litigator in both public and private sectors and possesses substantial experience in every area of the law at the trial and appellate level. She is universally lauded for her superior intellect, clear writing, judicial temperament, work ethic, and compassion. Justice Guerrero also has significant managerial experience in both the private and public sectors, as well as on the bench, and is praised by other bench officers for her collegiality. As a jurist, Justice Guerrero demonstrates fidelity to the law and displays sound judgment. She is the ideal choice to be California's next Chief Justice, and the Jenny Commission accordingly found her to be exceptionally well qualified for that office. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. We now invite Justice Guerrero to the podium to make a statement, if you wish, and to answer any questions the commission may have.
You've been there before.
Chief Justice Cantil Sakaue, Senior Presiding Justice Ramirez, Attorney General Bonta. It's wonderful to see you again, but I hope you haven't saved up questions from last time around. Joking aside, it's an honor and a privilege to appear before you. My remarks at this point are brief. I wish to express my sincere gratitude for the kind words that were spoken on my behalf. I would like to thank my family, my friends, and my colleagues who are here and those who are appearing remotely, as we say, and supporting me. And I welcome the opportunity to answer any questions the commission may have.
Thank you. Attorney General Bonta.
Thank you. I'm excited and honored to be here. I have a couple comments I want to start with, and then one question. And I first want to say I completely support you, generally and specifically for this confirmation. I think that your leadership is very exciting, and your story is incredibly inspiring. It's really an embodiment of the California dream. And I appreciate all you bring to your lifetime of service and to this role. I also want to take a moment to express my deep admiration and affection and respect for Chief Justice Cantil Sakaue. Some may know that when I started my legal career, she swore me in, and she opened up her home. She had delicious refreshments, including pancit and lumpia, traditional Filipino cuisine. She allowed my very proud Filipino mother to have a full video record of the events. And, throughout my time knowing her, and certainly since then, have just seen extraordinary leadership in ways that are sometimes unexpected, that you don't see in one person, because she is both fierce and she's also kind and she's warm. She's been steady throughout her leadership, but she also takes risks, and she's courageous and innovative. She's done all her work with an incredible elegance in all that she does. And one thing I love about her, she's always warm. She always emphasizes humanity, compassion, and empathy in all that she does. And there are not enough superlatives to describe the Chief Justice. And so I will not try, but also just say she's irreplaceable, and personally deeply respect and are grateful for her service. And Justice Guerrero, I know that you will be one of a kind, in your own way, with your own approach and your own style, a powerful and unique and incredible leader as Chief Justice. And so I'm very, very excited for what you will bring. So to my question, you've been an Associate Justice, and the Chief Justice role is different. It has important leadership components to it, including being the figurehead of the entire California judiciary. So what traits, characteristics, skills do you think are necessary to be a successful Chief Justice? And maybe say a little bit about how you believe you've demonstrated those in the past.
Thank you for those questions. And let me just say that I share your admiration among all of us. We all feel the same way about the chief. And so I have a wonderful role model, although, as you indicated, she has very big shoes to fill. And I don't think anyone can be ready. Maybe the chief is an exception on day one. What I think I will do and hope to do is grow into this role and learn from others. And that's the type of approach I have taken in different capacities over my career. I am surrounded by wonderful colleagues, and I have been throughout my career. The same is true now. And the same is true because I know what it's like to be on the trial court, on the Court of Appeal, and now on the Supreme Court. We're surrounded by amazing, talented public servants, and I will rely on them. But I also know that I have a leadership role. And whether, the question about the preparation and the skills that I have, to some extent, I feel like I have been working 25 years to be here at this point. As I've indicated and has been mentioned, I have been in private practice for 16 years. I have been a judge at all levels for 9 years, but it's a daunting task, and I know that. And so I feel like I come in with a realistic expectation, knowing that I have my work cut out for me, and also knowing that I will give 100% plus of every effort and all the time. And I know that I have a lot of juggling to do. So probably one of the things that will change is I will have more emails with exclamation points in my inbox. So I've appreciated this interim time period. But I feel like I'm ready for the challenge, and it's based on my background, my experiences, the way I was brought up, but also being surrounded by such a wonderful team.
Thank you. I'm very proud to support your confirmation today.
Thank you.
Presiding Justice Ramirez.
Justice Sakaguchi, thank you very much. Will you indulge me for just a second?
Yes, always.
Thank you. I did want to say thank you to our presenters this morning, Mr. Mullikin. Your remarks were heartfelt and sincere. And our administrative presiding Justice McConnell, always exciting to listen to your words, colorful, entertaining, but always precisely on point. And our colleague on the Supreme Court, Associate Justice Martin Jenkins. I can't call you Marty. I shouldn't, not in public. Associate Justice Jenkins. Your remarks were dynamic and vibrant and just inspirational. And so I thank you. Thank you very much for your kind remarks on behalf of, if confirmed, our new Chief Justice. I sat down last night in a hotel with 3 notebooks. 3 notebooks. Your first notebook that was delivered to the COJA members as an Associate Justice of our Court of Appeal in San Diego. The second COJA notebook that was delivered as an Associate Justice of the Supreme Court. And I have to say, when I read that one, I thought, okay, we'll get a break between this one and the next one. But we didn't. We got the third one. And I went through all three just to make sure they were all consistent. And they were. There is no question anyone in this room can ask you about your background, your qualifications, your ability. It is, as some have said, sterling, brilliant. You cut the spectrum of experience across the board in our profession. You are as qualified as anyone in our profession to become our next Chief Justice. But let me go back. If you remember, you and I spoke about Justice Arguelles. And it was on the occasion of you becoming an Associate Justice. I don't know that I was able to convey to you the joy, the happiness, the fulfillment in his heart. He was passing. He was in his last days. And you did something. You did something that brought him more happiness to a man on his deathbed than you could ever have imagined. You've called him personally and spoke to him. And the two of you had a remarkable conversation. He only shared in part some of the details. He wanted to keep the rest of that conversation private to the two of you. But you can't imagine a dying man getting his wish. He was so proud of you and so proud of the fact that you were stepping onto the Supreme Court. He loved the institution. He admired the institution. He felt blessed to be part of the California Supreme Court institution. In that last conversation I had with him, he handed me a briefcase. And it is, at that time, I don't know if the tradition is still, a briefcase about 16 by 14 in size, leather briefcase with a nice handle. And it had the initials emblazoned on the outside, JAA. And when you open the flap to that, it said, to Justice John A. Arguelles from his colleagues of the California Supreme Court, with respect. He handed that to me, and it wasn't until a few days later that I opened it to look at and see what was inside. And there was correspondence that had taken place between him and the two of us over 60 years. But I found something else that I think he intended for me to share with you. And as you may recall, we spoke of that quotation. It was one of his favorite quotations, if not his favorite, that was in the auditorium above the curtains at Garfield High School. But I found this, and I think he wanted me to share these words with you. And I quote, I ask the fathers and the mothers who love their children, who prize the freedom of American opportunity, to strike at this idea that only the rich and only the powerful, the sons and the daughters of the great, can serve the state. It is true now, and I believe it will be true hereafter, that the humblest son and the humblest daughter of the humblest citizen, born in the humblest surroundings, can lift his eyes toward the star of hope. So may it ever be. I think that while most of the information that's been presented this morning is about your ability, just as Jenkins touched on it at the end of his comments, it's more than about your ability. It's about your role and the impact that you will have, which I'm not sure you've given much thought to, and you wouldn't because you're not that kind of a person. But your arc, in my opinion, will reach from everywhere in the county of Imperial, in the state of California, to Riverside, to Fresno. I see my Fresno colleague out there, all the way to Northern California. You will be an inspiration to so many young men, young women, and many in our profession, as people come to recognize your career, what you've accomplished, and what you will accomplish. So you are that star of hope, and eyes will lift toward the star of hope, so may it ever be. That is you. With your background, that is you. And so my final comment directed to the chief, as Justice McConnell and Justice Jenkins mentioned, that we are on better footing today than we were when she took on the responsibilities, the duties, the functions of our Chief Justice back then. As busy as she was, my memory of her is in the middle of all of that. Probably should never have made that call, Chief, but I made the call. I said, we would like to do a women in law celebration at both the Court of Appeal in Riverside and at the historic Mission Inn. Our chief didn't bat an eyelash. She said, let's see if I can work it out on my schedule, and I will be there. And she was. And she delivered the most incredible speech. I have a pretty good memory, but I can't remember that, Chief. I should have notes of that. That was our chief. And there are some in this room, some who are new to this ceremony, this proceeding today, others who have heard me talk about Robert Traver's idea of judges. The ideal judge is someone who has a head and a heart. The entire time that our Chief Justice has been overseeing our courts, the administration of justice system, she's done it with the biggest heart and smart. And for that, I think we owe her an incredible debt of gratitude. And I would like everyone here to just join me in a nice round of applause to say thank you. My question, just one, is, I don't want to talk about challenges. I want to talk about what you think or what you'll be looking forward to. It's a remarkable position that you're stepping into. But of that position, what will you be looking forward to, either doing or accomplishing or being part of? You have an incredible body of colleagues that are just warm and collegial and all smart. So you're stepping into an institution, and I'm curious, what will you, if confirmed, Chief Justice Guerrero, be looking forward to?
Well, there are so many things, and we don't have probably enough time for me to identify all of them because I'm looking forward to everything, even the things that are most difficult. But I would say the work itself, I still will be responsible for 1/7 of our opinions, and I'm always looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward really to continuing to work with my colleagues on this court, but also the 58 counties, the 6 courts of appeal, and meeting amazing people in the legal community, the Judicial Council, the legislature. And so I'm looking forward to all of that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So Justice Guerrero, I don't really have a question, and you probably already know that this vote is preordained. But let me first start by saying, first, what an honor it is to sit with this panel to be part of this historic vote. I'm only going to say that Justice Ramirez has always been a friend and given counsel, and we've sat at many a table going over binders and books, and he will definitely, again, I know you're familiar, but want to give you a tour. And I tell you, you probably already had it, but it is truly, in fact, wonderful. And my time with Rob Bonta when he was a lawyer, I mean, I know his mother very well. She is an activist who brought my roots to speak on behalf of the Filipino community and has imbued Rob with so much of that vigor. I first want to say, Governor Newsom has made an inspired choice. Luis Cespedes is here today from the governor's office, and I know he knows this, but I think it's worth saying because this governor has recognized that you are an extraordinary candidate. You bring private sector experience at the highest level, as Mr. Mullikin explained. Not only the work of private law firms, litigation, but the actual work of the people in them and the mentoring. And this will serve you so well as chief in the sense that on the administrative side, the work you'll do with many, many of the civil bar associations, legal associations, who will come to you about improvements and work with you about improvements in the judicial system. And unlike me, you won't have to learn what that is. You will know it, having worked in it yourself for those many years. And so you bring this kind of perspective to the judiciary as a whole. Also, on the side of working in the trial courts in San Diego, actually, if the governor didn't already know, you should have his vote for having worked in family law, been lauded by the Family Bar Association, and also agreed to chair the Future on the State Bar. Because the future, as you can imagine, a group of very passionate, different opinions brought together for the better of California and the need for representation. But I'm also going to say that you, like me, came from a court of appeal with an incredible mentor, APJ. I came from a mentor, APJ, Art Scotland, who taught me everything I needed to know, whether I wanted it or not. Many people know that he is that forceful type of manager. And of course, you've had the benefit of being with Administrative Presiding Justice McConnell, a force of nature, innovative, outspoken, elegant, and graceful, and has led the Power of Democracy Civics Initiative with grace and aplomb and has brought in state and federal, and everyone wants to be a member of the Power of Democracy Committee because of Justice McConnell. But I know that you bring then strong management skills, having learned them not only in the firm, but also working at the Court of Appeal and in your many other activities. And I think that this appointment is historic for all the reasons Justice Ramirez said, but also for reasons because of your experience. You will bring together civil and criminal. You'll bring an understanding. And certainly with your values from your family and working and going to school in the Imperial Valley, going through public schools, private schools, you'll bring just a wealth of understanding, and all will serve you well. And California will be well served by whatever comes your way, knowing that you are hardworking and innovative and collegial. And the 5 months we've had together or so on the Supreme Court have just been incredibly rewarding. And I know that a lot of our success on the Supreme Court has to do with our 5 other members who are here today, who make this job the reason worth staying. It is the court side and the cases and working with Justice Corrigan, Justice Liu, Justice Kruger, Justice Groban, our incredible staff that makes our work not even seem like work at all. So, as Dave said, as I started, I think this vote is preordained.
I won't take it for granted.
So this completes the list of witnesses who are here to testify. Are the members of the commission prepared to vote? Okay, we're just going to take an exhale. All in favor of confirming Associate Justice Patricia Guerrero for the Chief Justice of California, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
So for purposes of the record, the commission finds the Honorable Patricia Guerrero qualified to be Chief Justice of California and of the California Supreme Court. We confirm her nomination, and we invite Justice Guerrero to the podium for any remarks you may wish to deliver at this time.
Thank you. Let me just take a moment to reflect on today. Earlier this year, I had the privilege of appearing in this courtroom where I was confirmed to serve as Associate Justice of the California Supreme Court. Shortly after that, I had the honor of being sworn in by Governor Newsom, surrounded by my family and friends and colleagues. I made a representation at that time that I wouldn't have to burden you any longer for additional references or letters of support. So it turns out I was wrong on that. But this does give me an opportunity to thank you once again. And I hope to thank each of you individually. But for now, let me just thank the following: the Jenny Commission Chair, as well as all of the commissioners, the 4 commissioners who were responsible for vetting my application once again. They thought they were done with me, but thank you for doing that once more. The esteemed Commission on Judicial Appointments, thank you all again for making this such a memorable and special moment for me and my family. I would like to thank the Court of Appeal justices, the presiding justices from various courts, and the associate justices from various courts as well, and my 4th District colleagues. Thank you for being here. It means so much to me. I would also like to thank my court staff who are here and watching remotely, and all of the members of this court and our court staff collectively, the CHP as well. And I also would like to express thanks for all of the members of the San Diego Superior Court and the Family Law Bar who have been so supportive of my confirmation over the years, various times. I want to especially thank, there were 5 or 6 of you who kept getting pinged to serve as references repeatedly. So I'd like to thank the 5 of you: Justice McConnell, Judge Hallahan, we miss her, she's not able to be here today, but I know she's watching remotely. Bob Howard, Rick Rauschenbusch, Greg Vega, Mike Lippman, and the speakers who are here today. Thank you all. Justice McConnell actually is doing double duty. She is a reference and a speaker, but that will surprise nobody. She's able to multitask so well, as you all have heard. And last time I spoke of what a wonderful role model she has been to me and to so many others. And now I'm really so excited about the opportunity to work with you closely once again as part of my now administrative duties as Chief Justice. There are 2 new speakers here today that you have heard from. And for me, it feels like a full circle is being completed with having both of you here. I first met Dave Mullikin, when I was an associate in private practice. He guided me, he mentored me, and many others who are actually here. And through his own example of diligence and hard work, he gave me something to aspire to. You fast forward now, nearly 25 years later, and Justice Jenkins has done the same for me now. I have such respect and admiration for the both of you, and I am just so fortunate that the path in my life has intersected with yours. And I would like to thank Governor Newsom for putting me on this new and very exciting path. I thank him for the honor and the privilege of entrusting me with all of these new and even greater responsibilities to serve as Chief Justice of California with one of the largest and, in my view, the finest judicial branch in the nation. I also would like to thank the governor's entire team: Luis Cespedes, Gonzalo Martinez, Ana Matasantos, and Ann Patterson. Thank you for your dedication in ensuring that the judiciary is made of judges who have a rich diversity of backgrounds and experiences. That includes judges like Kelly Evans, who I am looking forward to welcoming as the newest member on the Supreme Court. Soon she will see what I have witnessed: an amazing group of talented, committed justices who care deeply about the rule of law and serving the public. Thank you all for being so warm and gracious and welcoming of me. And I look forward to working with each of you and learning from you for hopefully many years to come. As I embark on this new adventure, I also look forward to, as was mentioned, wearing different hats and serving in different capacities. I look forward to forging new relationships with the Judicial Council, the members of the legislature, members on the Court of Appeal, the 58 counties, which I hope to visit, but might take me some time. I know, Chief, you were able to manage that quite well, so I'll have to ask for tips on that. All the judicial officers throughout the state and members in the legal community. We all have an important role to play in ensuring equal access to justice, and I look forward to continuing our journey as partners with these shared objectives in mind. And as I embark on this new endeavor, I know it will be challenging and the road ahead of me will be difficult. I know I can rely on my family and everyone who I love to get me through that. And in particular, as also have been mentioned, my 2 sons who started school yesterday, so they couldn't be here. So I really miss them, but I think school is important, as you all have learned. In addition, my in-laws, Frank and Rosie, and my extended family of many aunts, uncles, cousins, and of course, my father, Jorge, who couldn't be here today. I thought of wearing boots in recognition of him, but thought against it. Although they couldn't be here, I'm so happy that my husband, Joe, and my sister, Claudia, are here. Joe, I've known for, I had to think back, over 30 years, and we've been married for nearly 20. It's safe to say that he has sacrificed so much so that I can serve in this role, and I could not do this without his continuing support. And my sister has been by my side even longer. My mother tells the story, or would tell us the story, of how she would find bananas in my crib each morning. So apparently what would happen is my sister would put one there overnight for me. Now, I have no memory of that, and she doesn't either, but I'll take my mother's word for it. And as far as I can remember, she's been doing the same thing. She has been looking out for me. And now I'm so fortunate to have my brother-in-law, Dan, and my nephew, Grant, who look out for me too. I talked about my family previously, but I would just like to reiterate that I'm humbled to be here, and I recognize the historic significance of the moment. I'm honored to be living in a state where a little girl who grew up in the Imperial Valley and raised by immigrant parents from Mexico, could grow up, follow her dreams, and become the first Associate Justice, the first Latina Associate Justice on the California Supreme Court. And there has never been a Latino or a Latina to serve as Chief Justice until now. I am proud to be the first, and I look forward to the second, the third, and the fourth. As I said before, I could not do this alone, and I'm not here through my own efforts. I have stood on the shoulder of and I stand on the shoulders of my parents and my grandparents who really sacrificed so much to give us opportunities that they did not have. And the personal details about my family's story are different from others, but I think it's what we share in common that really matters. And that is the common struggle for a better life, the common pursuit and hope for a brighter future for your children, and really the privilege of being able to pursue the American dream. And with that comes not just privileges, but responsibilities. And I look forward to faithfully discharging all of my responsibilities as Chief Justice of California. And as I do that, I will strive always to ensure equal justice for every single person and party that appears before our courts. I concluded last time with a tribute to my mother, and I would like to do the same now, and actually to both of my parents. Words cannot express how grateful I am for all of their sacrifices, and I know my sister feels the same way. But I would also like to mention one other mother, and that's the chief's mother. The chief has spoken in the past about her mom taking her to see the first Filipina attorney in their community. And she elbowed her, as I understand, and told her, "You couldn't do that." Boy, was she right. And for that, we are thankful. Thank you, Chief, for your decade plus of legendary and visionary service to the judicial branch. Through your hard work, your persuasion, your grace, and your strength, as others have said, the judicial branch is stronger than it was before you started. And I know there have been other Chief Justices who have also made important strides, and in particular, I would say Chief Justice Ronald George, with his really important and important structural reforms to the judicial branch. I hope to do the same and continue to improve the administration of justice. And in doing that, I hope, like the chief, to be able to serve in a way that would have made my mother proud and that will make my father proud. But also to serve as a role model for other children out there whose parents are also elbowing them and telling them now that they can do this too. So thank you.
This concludes our joyous hearing. We stand in recess. Thank you.